I think that I've finally perfected a way to keep my physical TBR fun, fresh, and exciting. Between work and children and husbands and just life in general, it's really easy for like our physical TBRs to feel like a giant to-do list, like a never-ending pit of books. And I'm here today to tell you how you can keep picking your TBRs monthly or weekly or however often you do it, but like to gamify it in a way that's going to make it feel really fun. We want to make sure that we're keeping our books as a place to escape and not like a job. We don't want to feel like it's too much or it's too overwhelming to read down our physical TBR. My 2026 goal is to read down my physical TBR, so I feel very equipped to have this conversation with you. And I generally have fun picking out my monthly TBRs, so I just want to show you all the fun ways that you can pick your TBRs. I want to show you all of the things that I use currently that kind of changed the way that I view picking my books. It makes me look forward to picking them every month. I also want to read down my physical TBR while also enjoying new releases and arcs and things that happen to pop up and become unexpected. So if you need a little inspiration to start falling in love with your books again, you're in the right place. All right, enough with the yapping. Let's just get into it. So I'm going to split the video up in 3 sections. First, we're going to talk about some of the apps that I use to help pick my TBR every month. And then we're going to go into kind of the ways I physically pick my TBR, so not using an app or my phone per se. And then I have a few creative ways that you can utilize technology to help pick your TBR, but it's not necessarily an app or a reading tracker that helps you pick your TBR. So starting off with like the app ecosystem, there's tons of apps out there right now, especially reading trackers that have a lot of different ways that you can gamify picking your TBR or creative ways that you can organize lists, see what you have, see what you want to read, and different ways that you can pick books for your TBR. Take a drink every time I say TBR. So the first app that I want to talk about is a new app to me. I think it's pretty new in the market, and it's called Pagebound. I actually heard Pagebound from Gavin Reads It All. Check him out on YouTube if you don't know him yet. He was really kind of obsessed with Pagebound, so I wanted to download it, see what it was all about. Unfortunately, yes, I do use 3 different trackers to track my reading, but you don't need to. You could definitely try all 3 or 4 or how many ever are out there and see which one you like best. I do like these 3 trackers for 3 different reasons, I think. So right now we're going to specifically talk about Pagebound. I'm not going to go into like specifically what each app does in this video. I plan to make a video in the future about comparing different reading tracking apps and which ones that I like the most. So we're not going to do that in this video today, but subscribe if you want to see that video eventually. One of the reasons I downloaded Pagebound was there are really easy ways to gamify picking your TBR. There's a few different ways that they manage and maintain lists that is a little different from Goodreads. But specifically for today's video, I want to talk about a few features that they have. Here you can see my home screen. You can see I'm on an 11-day streak. You can see I'm currently reading Diarbound, but there are 2 areas I want to show you. So first off, there is a discover area down there in the middle of the menu. Every day, this page changes depending on a few different features. So one creative way that they feature different books here is with an emoji. And so it looks like today's emoji is the Japanese flag. These are different ways that you could find books that aren't probably on your TBR, but if you want to try in different genres or just see what people are reading, that is a fun way. You can also scroll down and see what was most discussed yesterday and scroll through those books to see if anything looks fun. Some that I like specifically are the most finished yesterday and the most TBR'd yesterday. So this really shows you, so the people that are using this app, it's showing you what were some of the popular books that were TBR'd yesterday and which ones were finished yesterday. So you can see that I already have read 3 on this list, so that's really cool for Red Rising. I will say this app is still new and it is being ran by two people that kind of manage the whole thing, so give it some grace. It's still a work in progress, but I do still really love this app. So there's a lot of different ways here to read books that might not be on your TBR. Love that for us. Another area that I want to show you in this Discover tab is this quest section. This is what I saw Gavin talking about when he kind of convinced me to download Pagebound. This has all the different quests, and I think these are either created by the creators of the app or they are created by the audience. I'm not sure yet. There are a few different sections of quests that you can choose. So really just going through these quests and deciding like, okay, do I want to do the hockey romance quest? You click on it. There are badges that you can earn for your profile after you read so many of the books that are listed in these quests. And then you can see what's on your TBR, what you've read, what you're currently reading. I think that's really cool. And that's one way to gamify your TBR because it's really fun to try to collect those badges. I think I'm a part of a few quests and I've already earned a few different badges, and it will tell you what these badges are. So I've got 5 read in the Romance Starter Pack Volume 1. And this one is, I've got 12 read in the Romantasy Starter Pack Volume 1. Love doing that. I love to pick a few books out of these quests and add them to my monthly TBR. One other section that I want to talk about in Pagebound specifically. Okay, so if you're in your profile or if you're on the homepage, hit the hamburger menu on the left and you'll see a seasonal read-along. There's also a little area of special events, but seasonal read-along is what I'm going to talk about specifically. You click on that, and this changes. So it gives you a start date and an end date, and it gives you a bunch of books that you can read during that season. And I think that is such a cool way to take part in something that's kind of similar to a book club. And again, you earn badges, especially like particular to that season and that year. And if you're like a collector like me, you're going to love this little badge system. And then it shows you some past read-alongs that you can do as well. I don't think you miss out on them. Maybe you don't get the badge, but it does show you the lists from previous. So you can see some of the spring ones here. I probably wouldn't read them, but this is just another creative way to pick books. Again, these ones might not be on your TBR. Okay, so moving away from our phone, going a more traditional route. Maybe you want to log off for the day, but still pick books for your TBR. Here's a few ways that you can utilize your home or people in your home or maybe your friends to help you pick out some books that you might not have picked up on your own. So one thing that I do use, and you've probably seen them in videos before, this method seems to work really well, not just for me, but for a lot of creators. And I think there's fun ways that you could get involved, even if you don't have your own prompt jar. You could always watch someone doing a prompt jar and find books based off of the prompts that they pick. So you've probably seen these before in previous videos. So I do have 2 different prompt jars. This is really just the ones that I've already picked from for the year. And I want to save them because they are reusable. I think that these are really good prompts, and I think if you don't want to come up with new ideas every time, just keep your old prompts in a different area, and then you can always reuse them when you run out of prompts to choose from. So all I've done is I've written different prompts on a piece of paper. If you don't know what a TBR jar is, I'm just going to break it down for you really quickly. You write down little things on a piece of paper and you put them in a jar. This one says oldest published, and you just would really look through like your Goodreads or something, and you would find the oldest published book that's on your TBR, and you'd read that one. If you need inspiration for prompts, you can watch people's videos and start collecting some of your favorite ones and put them in the jar. I've definitely watched different channels, and I've thought that some of their prompts were so creative, and I've written them down and put them in my jar as well. Eventually, once the community is big enough, I want to put in community suggestions as well, because I think when Emmy does that, I think it's just so fun. But this is a great random way, again, to pick books if you're feeling either fatigue or you're feeling a little overwhelmed by your choices. This is a perfect way to just let fate decide. Another method that you can use to gamify or, randomize your TBR is by wrapping all your books in wrapping paper or craft paper or brown paper bags or anything that you could find. Wrap all your books up, and again, let fate decide. I know that you see some people doing blind dates with a book, and you can put like the tropes on the books or have like somebody in your family write the tropes on the books for you so you don't know which is which. But in February, we actually picked my TBR. I had my family wrap my books in pink and red wrapping paper. I picked out a group of books that I wanted to choose from, and then they wrapped them, and then we chose numbers out of a little Valentine's jar, and we found the corresponding book, and that is what my TBR was for February. I actually had a lot of fun, and my family had a lot of fun too. I know my daughter loved wrapping the books and then watching the video and saying, oh my gosh, that's one of mine. Oh, that's the one that I wrapped. So it was a fun way to get the family involved, and it was a really fun way to, again, randomize the books and not feel, not freeze or deer in the headlights when you look at your actual TBR card. And one final way that you could physically randomize your TBR to keep it fresh and fun is a mini book TBR jar. And I started out with this method, but I did find out that I'm not the type of person that can keep up with like all the books that I'm purchasing or that I want to read, printing them out and making like little books each time. So I only did like one wave of this, and I have not replenished the books, but I would still like to work down those books in that jar. So I do keep it. So I made these mini books just out of foam board and printed some little labels using Canva. And these are books that I haven't read yet that I wanted to when I first started my reading journey. I've just left them in here, like I said. And actually what I do is in my prompt jar, I have a mini TBR jar prompt, so it actually prompts me to pull from this one instead. The reason that I don't do it often though is because there are a lot of books in here that I don't own, and again, a goal for 2026 is to read down my physical TBR. To help keep this video short, I want to talk about some of the digital ways that you can randomize or gamify your TBR to avoid decision fatigue, because I know that we already make too many decisions in a day, so why make this daunting? So one of the ways without using an app that you can randomize your TBR or gamify it is doing a wheel spinner. There is a free website that I use for the wheel spinner. So here you can see the different wheels that I've created. It's wheelofnames.com. And what I have done, and this is with the help of GoodReads Lists. If you didn't know, you could export GoodReads Lists. And what I did is I just exported the list of like the ones that I own or the ones that I have marked digital. And you can actually just highlight that column of titles and paste it into this website. So anyways, this is free. I have a few wheels here. You can see this one is purchased, and I updated it February 16th. I do date them so that I know when it's out of date and I need to add more books to it. So anyways, this is my wheel spinner, and I do use this from time to time. The last time I used it was in picking my March reads, and I had a prompt in the prompt jar because that's what we were using. We were using my prompt jar for March, and one of them said spin the wheel. So we use this wheel. This is all of the purchased books that I have on my TBR cart. And so that was a really fun way to pick the book because I ended up getting Brandon Sanderson, Mistborn. And I'm still coming to terms that is on my March TBR. So that's one of the ways. Something else that you can do, whether it's on your personal social media accounts or your public, creator accounts, you can do some polls. I know that I've seen a lot of creators use YouTube polls, TikTok polls, Instagram stories polls. Let your community decide what you read. I love the way that Ellen did hers. I just watched her video today. She took a picture of the two books that she was choosing between, and she let her community decide which one she was going to read. And I thought that was really simple. That was really easy. Of course, you do need to have people that are kind of interactive on your accounts to help you with that. Kind of a fun way to give your friends or family control over your TBR. It's kind of like a takeover. And you can blame them then if you didn't like the book. You could say, I wouldn't have picked this. So-and-so picked this. I hated it. And last but not least, the main point of this video is to read the books you already own. Read books that you have access to, whether it be a library or borrowing from a friend. These things that I'm talking about today are also really helpful for controlling the chaos and not getting swept away by buying new books and hauls and new releases. However, you can use some of these methods for new releases for sure. But the last one I want to talk about is utilizing your library. There are a lot of GoodReads lists, and if you go to your local library's website, they usually will post some of the new books that have come in. I know my library actually has a shelf dedicated to new books that they've just gotten in. I wouldn't say browsing through the library because that could be a little bit overwhelming, but going to the new section to see what's new for them, or going to their website and seeing some of the new things that they've received, or going to a GoodReads list or a Pagebound list and seeing what's popular, and then going to your library and borrowing it and taking it out. I also know that my library does book club bags. If you and your friends are trying to do a book club, you don't want to go out and buy the book, or you don't want to buy the book on Audible, or you don't want to buy the book on Kindle Unlimited. Maybe some people don't have a Kindle. This is such a great idea that my library has done. They'll do about 5 copies of the same book. They'll put it in a book bag. They'll put on there what book it is, and they will let you rent out the entire bag for your book club. And I think that is so genius. I just have not utilized it yet. I am part of a couple book clubs, and I do know that one specifically, this is our first month, and we did have trouble all getting the same book. So I had to borrow mine out to a friend, and 2 of them were on the library waitlist because we live in a small town, and one of them was reading it digitally. So these book club bags, I think, are so perfect, and you can just utilize your library, let them kind of take control and decide what you read. And that is perfect if you want to read outside of your typical genre, because all I buy is romantasy, fantasy, and contemporary romance. So sometimes if you want to get outside of the box there, read something you wouldn't typically read, utilizing your library is, I think, a perfect choice. One last digital way, and I think I said that the last point was the last point, but it's not. One last way that you can utilize your phone or your computer to help you pick a book off of your TBR is, I did this in my March TBR video, is going to GoodReads Lists and picking like the oldest book on your list, or picking the newest book on your list, or just sorting it by average ratings and picking the highest rated book on your TBR list or the lowest rated. I mean, I've seen lots of creators do this lots of different ways, and I think it's so creative. I can't wait to try those methods myself. But I think that's such a creative and great way to reading the newer books that you picked out. I know that for March, I actually have to read Archer's Voice because my prompt was reading the oldest book added to my TBR list, or the first book added to my TBR list. So now I'm going to read Archer's Voice. I've seen it on my TBR a million times, and I wouldn't have picked it on my own. So thank you to the TBR gods for helping me pick that book out. And just a notable mention, I did in January do a Fable Picks My Reads. They have a little Scout AI feature. You can actually go to your want to read list. You can have Scout pick a book for you. And I think that's fun and easy and simple, and it's there. It's in the app that you're already using if you use Fable to track your books. I think it's such a fast, quick way to just make a decision. Just a reminder that reading should be fun. Reading should be a hobby. Reading should be something that we use to escape the world that we live in today. And I want to make sure that we're keeping reading fun. I don't think it ever should be overwhelming or stressful. I think when it starts to become those things, we need to take a step back and say, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why are we stressed about this? The same goes for, how many books you read a month or a year, or how fast you read. We really just need to remove the stress out of a hobby like this because it impacts people, and I think it's educational, and it's a great way to relax and let go and let loose and, again, escape. Let's just keep it fun. That's kind of why I wanted to do this video today. So if you made it this far, let me know in the comments below what new method that I mentioned that you might utilize for picking your next book. And if there's something that I didn't mention and you have a really great idea, will you share it below so that the besties, we can, find fun, fresh, flirty, freaky ways. I was trying to find words that start with an F. Anyways, fun, fresh, fancy, freaky ways to pick our next read. For the emoji for the video, if you made it this far, put a palm tree. In the comments, if you don't want to partake in the prompts or the TBR methods, because it's March, it's really cold here, and all I've been thinking about lately is escaping to some places that have palm trees. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're liking the video if you thought it was fun, or if you think I did a good job. Turn on notifications so that you never miss another upload. I need you guys to watch these videos, and I need you to tell me that you liked these videos so that I'll keep making these videos. I do appreciate you all being here with me today. Thank you for always showing up, watching the videos. I do truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye. I feel like I'm about to be in a documentary or something.